The early morning swallowed the city like a hungry mouth. In the deserted streets, only the flickering streetlights witnessed the oppressive silence that precedes dawn. Carlos Mendez, 38 years old, rubbed his tired eyes for the 10th time that night. The car dashboard showed 3:42 in the morning, a time when even the drunks had already gone home and the workers had not yet left for their shifts. He looked at the cell phone resting on the holder. Only 87 rise in rides that night. It wasn't enough. It was never enough. The bills piled up like ghosts in his mind. Overdue rent, child support, car payments. 5 years driving for an app, and life was only getting worse. Just one more ride, he murmured to himself, adjusting the seat and taking a sip of cold, bitter coffee. Just one more, and I'll go home. As if the universe had heard, the phone vibrated. The sound echoed inside the car like an omen. Carlos picked up the device, blinking to focus his vision blurred by fatigue. Carlos frowned. Cemetery. At 3 o'clock in the morning, he hesitated, his finger hovering over the decline button. But 45 raise. It was almost half of what he had made all night, and money had no time or place. He accepted the ride. The GPS indicated 8 minutes to the pickup point. Carlos started the engine, which coughed twice before catching, and drove through the empty streets. Acacia Street was in the oldest neighborhood of the city, where colonial houses clustered like old people forgotten by time. The ancient trees formed dark tunnels over the cracked asphalt, and the mist began to creep along the sidewalks like spectral fingers. As he got closer, Carlos felt an inexplicable discomfort in his stomach. That neighborhood, there was something familiar about it, something his mind was desperately trying not to remember. He turned onto Acacia Street and slowed down, looking for number 247. The houses were all dark, windows like empty eyes, watching his passage. Then he saw her. Under a street light flickering intermittently, a woman stood completely still. She wore a simple white dress, which seemed to float slightly, even without wind. Her long black hair covered most of her face, falling like a curtain of dark silk. Carlos stopped the car next to her and unlocked the doors. The sound of the click echoed too loudly in the silence of the early morning. The woman opened the back door and got in. No words, no greeting, just the fluid and silent movement of someone who did not completely belong to the world of the living. A biting cold invaded the car instantly. It wasn't the usual cold of a winter night. It was something deeper, more unnatural, as if the temperature had dropped 20 degrees in a second. Carlos felt the hairs on the back of his neck stand up. "Good evening," he said, trying to sound casual, but his voice came out shaky. He looked in the rearview mirror. The woman was sitting in the center of the back seat, head down, pale hands crossed on her lap.
She didn't respond, just gave a slight nod. "So, the cemetery, right?"
"Late night visits is different." Silence. He cleared his throat, uncomfortable, and started driving. The GPS indicated 15 minutes to the destination via Peace Road, an old highway that cuts through the rural area of the city. Carlos knew that road, knew it all too well. His heart started to beat faster. The first 5 minutes of the trip passed in a sepulchral silence. Carlos tried to turn on the radio, but only static came from the speakers. He tried again. More static, interspersed with incomprehensible whispers that made his skin crawl. He quickly turned off the radio. Through the rearview mirror, he watched the passenger. She didn't move. Literally, she didn't move a millimeter. She looked like a wax statue, perfectly still. And there was something more disturbing. Carlos couldn't see her breath. Even with the intense cold inside the car, his own breath formed clouds of vapor. The woman didn't exhale any sign of breathing. "It's cold, isn't it? It's cold, isn't it?" Carlos tried again, turning the heater on full blast. The warm air blew through the vents, but it made no difference at all. The cold remained piercing, chilling his bones. seconds. For the first time, the woman moved. Slowly, very slowly, she lifted her face. Her eyes were completely black. There were no irises, no whites, just deep darkness like bottomless pits. And she didn't blink, absolutely didn't blink, just stared at him through the mirror with those empty eyes. "Are you okay?" Carlos asked, his voice faltering. His hands gripped the steering wheel so tightly that his knuckles turned white. "I've been dead for 5 years, Carlos." Her voice was a hoarse whisper, like dry leaves being dragged over graves. "How could I be okay?" The car jolted. Carlos almost lost control, instinctively stepping on the brake. The vehicle skidded slightly before stabilizing on the shoulder. "How do you know my name?" he stammered, turning to face her. "Who are you?" The woman tilted her head in a strange, unnatural way, as if her neck had no bones. A thin and terrible smile formed on her pale lips. "Don't you remember me, Carlos? 5 years ago, this same road, a rainy night, you were in a hurry, driving too fast." Memories exploded in Carlos's mind like bombs. Images he had buried deeply, tried to forget with alcohol, work, anything, but they returned now, vivid and cruel. 5 years ago, torrential rain. He was returning from a party, slightly intoxicated. The Peace Road was dark, without lighting. He was driving fast, wanting to get home quickly. Then, on the sharp curve near the cemetery, a figure in white appeared in the middle of the road. The impact, the horrible sound, the body being thrown to the shoulder. Carlos stopped the car, got out trembling. The woman in the white dress was lying still, blood flowing from her head. He approached, checked the pulse. Weak, very weak, and then he fled. He got in the car and fled, leaving her to die alone in the rain. "No," Carlos whispered, tears welling in his eyes. "No, no, no." "Yes," the woman said, her voice now echoing as if coming from a deep tunnel.
"You let me die!"
Alone, in the cold, in the darkness. It took 40 minutes for someone to find me, but it was already too late. Carlos was hyperventilating. I'm sorry, I was scared. I didn't know what to do." "You knew exactly what to do," she replied.
"You chose freedom at the cost of my life."
The car started to shake. No, it wasn't the car. It was reality itself around him shaking. The trees by the roadside seemed to writhe, their branches turning into accusing fingers pointing at Carlos. "Please," he begged. "Please, forgive me." "Forgiveness?" The woman laughed, and the sound was like breaking glass.
"I didn't come for forgiveness. I came for you."
She leaned forward, her face now inches from the rearview mirror. Carlos could see every horrible detail. The pale, waxy skin, the dark veins beneath the surface, the cracked lips. Then he noticed half of her skull was slightly sunken, exactly where the car had hit her. "Keep driving," she ordered. "Take me to the cemetery. Take me home." Carlos, in shock, obeyed. His hands trembled so much that he could barely hold the steering wheel. He returned to the road and kept driving, each meter feeling like an eternity. The fog grew denser by the second. Soon, Carlos could barely see 5 meters ahead. The trees on the sides of the road looked like distorted faces watching his passage. Strange sounds came from all sides, whispers, moans, muffled cries. "You know what's worse, Carlos?" The woman's voice continued, now coming from everywhere at once, from the back seat, from the radio, from inside his own head. "It's not the pain of death.
It's not the pain of death. It's not the cold of the grave. It's knowing that someone chose not to save you, that your life wasn't worth even the inconvenience of a call to emergency services.
I was young, Carlos shouted, tears streaming down his face. I was scared. I didn't think straight and I was dying, she replied simply. The sign appeared in the fog. Municipal Cemetery of Pisi, 500 meters. Carlos felt his heart race. The curve, the damn curve where everything happened, was just ahead.
Here! The woman suddenly shouted, her voice exploding like thunder.
You left me bleeding! Look at me! It was here! You took my life and thought the rain would...
Before stopping exactly at the accident site, exactly where, 5 years ago, he had run over Anna. The silence that followed was deafening. Carlos was panting, sweat running down his face despite the intense cold. Slowly, afraid of what he would see, he turned to the back seat. Empty. The woman had disappeared. Only a puddle of dirty dark water stained the leather seat, exuding a smell of wet earth and decomposition. No, no. Carlos repeated like a mantra. He opened the door and got out of the car, staggering. The fog was so dense. Then, he heard footsteps. Through the fog, the rusty iron gate of the Municipal Cemetery of Peace, standing under the Gothic arch of the entrance. There she was, Anna. But now he could see her face completely. And what did he see? Half of the face was deformed by the impact, the skull sunken. One of the eyes was hanging from the socket, the jaw was dislocated, the white dress was soaked with old blood. She raised an arm, making the limb dangle at an impossible angle, and pointed into the cemetery. Carlos, as if in a trance, began to walk towards her. Each step was agony, but something stronger pulled him forward. Irresistible, he passed through the gate. Anna vanished like smoke, but Carlos knew where to go. His feet carried him automatically through the moss-covered tombstones, along paths of cracked stone, under dead trees that bent like old women weeping. And then he stopped. In front of him, a gray marble tombstone, recent, well-maintained, with wilted flowers at its base. Carlos read the inscription, and his whole world collapsed. Carlos Henrique Mendez, March 15, 1985, August 23, 2019. He died on the road of peace. The memories returned, but now complete. Not just the hit and run. What came after? He fled the scene of the accident, desperate, driving in panic on the road of peace. It was raining torrentially. He couldn't see properly, the tears mixing with the rain on the windshield. He was looking in the rearview mirror, checking if someone was following him. He didn't see the sharp curve. The car went off the road at over 100 kilometers per hour, flipped over 3 times, and crashed into a centuries-old tree with brutal force. Carlos was thrown out of the vehicle. His spine broke instantly. He lay there, paralyzed, feeling life slip away. It took 20 minutes for him to die. Alone. In the cold, in the darkness, just like Anna. No. Carlos whispered, tears streaming down his face. I can't be dead. I've been driving. I've been working. You have been dead for 5 years. Anna's voice echoed throughout the cemetery. She was now beside him, her spectral form glowing slightly in the darkness. Died trying to escape from me. Died like a coward! Carlos looked at his own hands. For the first time, he truly saw them. Pale, translucent, he could see through them, but the races, the passengers, everything seemed so real. It was real, Anna explained, her voice now softer, almost sad. For you. You're stuck in a loop, Carlos. A punishment. Every night at 3:47, you wake up in your car. Every night you accept my ride. Every night you take me to the cemetery, and every night you discover the truth. Carlos looked around the cemetery, and then he saw them. Dozens, hundreds of spectral figures among the tombstones, all looking at him, all waiting. Are they trapped too? He asked, his voice broken. No, Anna replied. is they are here to witness, to ensure you never forget what you did, to ensure you pay forever. Every night you have a choice. You can accept my ride or you can refuse. But you always accept. Always, because deep down, you know you deserve this. You know you need to pay. No, Carlos shouted. Next time I will refuse. I will break the cycle. Anna smiled sadly. You say that every night, Carlos. Every night. The world began to darken. The tombstones, the trees, the spectral figures, everything began to dissolve into absolute darkness. Carlos felt his body being pulled, as if he were falling into a bottomless pit. No, please, no. Carlos opened his eyes abruptly. He was sitting in the driver's seat of his car. The dashboard showed 3:47 in the morning. Your phone vibrated in the holder. New ride requested. Passenger. Anna Origin. Acacia Street, 247. Old Destiny Neighborhood. Municipal Cemetery of Peace. Amount, 45 race. Carlos's hands trembled over the cell phone. He remembered everything. The accident, the death, the cemetery, his own tombstone. No, he whispered. I will not accept. Not this time. His finger hovered over the decline button. But then he thought, what if declining means being stuck here forever? What if accepting is the only way to exist, even if it's in an eternal loop? He thought of his daughter, his ex-wife, everything he had lost. He thought of Anna, dying alone in the rain. Tears ran down his face. And like every night, as he always would, Carlos pressed accept. The engine coughed twice before starting. The GPS indicated 8 minutes to the pickup point. Carlos began driving through the empty city, towards Acacia Street, towards his personal hell forever.